Change is one of the few constants in life. We grow, we evolve, and with every passing year, we're met with new chapters, some joyful, others painful, and many completely unexpected. But no matter our age, change never becomes easy. We resist it, question it, and sometimes fear it. And yet, within that resistance, there's wisdom to be found. This is the story of Anna, a 90-year-old woman who, after a long and fulfilling life, was forced to confront one of the most emotionally challenging transitions of her later years, leaving her beloved home behind to move into a retirement community. It might sound like a common story, but what makes Anne's journey extraordinary is how she navigated this change with resilience, creativity, and an unexpected approach to making decisions, one she called her personal board of directors. Anne's method, forged from decades of experience, holds a message for all of us. Whether we're in our 30s facing career pivots, in our 50s navigating empty nests, or in our 80s coming to terms with our legacy. So settle in as we take a reflective journey through Anne's story. This isn't just about aging, it's about adapting, growing, and finding strength in vulnerability. Anne was born in 1935 in a small town in the Midwest. Her life, like so many of her generation, was shaped by war, recovery, and the relentless pursuit of something better. She married young. Her husband, Frank, was a high school sweetheart who returned from Korea with more questions than answers. They built a life together, brick by brick, eventually settling in a charming two-story home on Maple Street, where they raised 3 children and welcomed countless grandchildren over the years. Anne worked as a school teacher for over 4 decades. Her students often said she was more than a teacher, she was a mentor, a confidant, and a steady presence in an ever-changing world. At home, she was the glue of her family, hosting Sunday dinners, organizing reunions, and always remembering every birthday and milestone with handwritten letters and thoughtful gifts. After Frank passed away when she was 78, Anne faced her first major life change alone. The silence in the house grew louder with each passing day, but she found solace in her routines, tending to her garden, volunteering at the library, and participating in the local quilting circle. But life, as it always does, kept moving. In her late 80s, health issues began to creep in. Her knees ached, her vision dimmed, and one particularly scary fall left her shaken. Her children, now scattered across the country, gently raised the idea of her moving into a retirement home. It wasn't meant to be cruel, it was about safety, care, and peace of mind. But to Anne, it felt like an earthquake. That house wasn't just wood and walls, it was her identity, her history, and her sanctuary. "I've spent more years in this house than anywhere else," she told her daughter. "Leaving it would be like leaving behind a part of myself." Anne resisted. For months, every conversation about moving was met with polite deflection or firm dismissal. She insisted she could manage, and for a while, she did. But deep down, she knew. The nights felt longer, the stairs looked steeper. Even her garden, once her pride and joy, had become more of a memory than a pleasure. The signs were undeniable. One night, sitting alone in her favorite chair, she reached for the worn photo album she always kept nearby. Her fingers traced over a picture from her 50th wedding anniversary of Frank, smiling beside her, their children surrounding them, laughter frozen in time. She whispered to the silence, "What would you do, Frank?" The next morning, Anne made a decision, but not the one her family expected. She wouldn't make this choice alone. She'd gather wisdom not from the internet, not from pamphlets, and not from rushed phone calls with overworked professionals. Instead, she'd form her own board of directors, a panel of trusted voices to guide her through the decision. Not actual people, but a council made up of loved ones, men, and even historical figures who had influenced her throughout her life. Each would represent a different value she held dear: practicality, emotional well-being, courage, wisdom, and legacy. This, she believed, was the key to moving forward. Anne's board wasn't just imaginary, it was intentional and deeply personal. She gave each member a chair, metaphorically speaking, and invited them into her heart and mind to help her weigh this life-altering choice. Chair 1. Frank. Representing love and loyalty, Frank was the first and most obvious member. He had always been a calm voice in a storm. When Anne sat down and asked herself, what would Frank say? She imagined him holding her hand and saying, "Annie, I want you safe, not just happy. Home is where love lives, not where the mail gets delivered." She felt his strength in those words, and his permission to let go. Chair 2. Mrs. Florence. Her high school teacher and mentor, representing wisdom, Mrs. Florence had once told a teenage Anne, "Growth only happens when you're uncomfortable." That sentence had helped her apply to college, take a teaching job in a new town, and even say yes to marriage when she was scared. What would Mrs. Florence say now? Anne asked herself. Change is hard, Anne, but stagnation is harder. Chair 3, her daughter, Lisa, representing compassion and practicality. Lisa wasn't always the most tactful, but her heart was always in the right place. Through Anne's eyes, Lisa's voice echoed clearly. "Mom, I'm worried about you. I know you love this house, but I don't want to get a call one day that something terrible has happened." Anne knew her daughter wasn't being pushy, she was trying to be loving in the way she knew how. Chair 4, Eleanor Roosevelt, representing courage. Anne had always admired Eleanor. She'd read every biographer, watched documentaries, and quoted her endlessly. "Do one thing every day that scares you." Eleanor had guided Anne through hard parenthood moments, public speaking fears, and now she was guiding her through this. "Eleanor," Anne asked, "how do I find the courage to let go?" And in her mind, Eleanor answered, "Letting go is not failure, it's strength in motion." Chair 5, her future self, representing peace. This final seat was the most difficult to fill, but also the most transformative. And imagined herself 6 months into her life at the retirement home. What would she see? Who would she be? She pictured new friendships, meals shared, laughter over bridge games. She imagined not fearing the stairs, not worrying if she'd be alone when she needed help. This future self whispered, "You can still bloom, just not in the same garden." With her board assembled and consulted, Anne made the decision. It was time to move. She gathered her children and told them herself. "I'm ready," she said, "but I'm doing this my way." She made a list of what mattered most, bringing her favorite armchair, her quilt collection, and her garden tools. The retirement home allowed her to plant a small raised bed outside her new window. She smiled at that. The move wasn't easy. There were tears, goodbyes to familiar neighbors, and moments of overwhelming nostalgia. But there was also a quiet sense of peace. On her first morning in her new apartment, the sun streamed through the window and landed on a photo of Frank. She smiled. "I brought you with me," she whispered. And every time she felt doubt creeping in, she summoned her board. Their voices, still strong in her heart, guided her toward courage. Anne's story isn't just about growing old, it's about growing wise. It's about finding innovative ways to confront fear and reclaim autonomy, even when life seems to shrink. Her board of directors concept can apply to anyone in any season of life. Are you facing a career change, a divorce, a new city? Try forming your own board. Pick voices that have shaped you, whether they're real or imagined. Don't let change be something that happens to you, make it something you collaborate with. Anne taught us that legacy isn't just what we leave behind, it's how we live until the very end. In her retirement home, Anne became a quiet leader. She started a book club, helped organize social events, and took newcomers under her wing. The same care she had given her students decades earlier, she now gave to her peers. When asked how she remained so positive, she simply said, "I asked the right people the right questions, and I listened." Anne passed away peacefully at 94, surrounded by family. Her board of directors, though silent to others, had never left her side. Change will come for all of us, sometimes slowly, like leaves shifting in the wind, sometimes suddenly, like a storm that tears through everything we thought was certain. What matters is not how much we fear it, but how we meet it. Anne showed us that we don't have to meet change alone. With a circle of wisdom, real or imagined, we can walk through the unfamiliar with dignity and strength. Maybe it's time for you to build your own board of directors. Who would you include? A parent, a teacher, a character from a book who helps shape your worldview. Don't wait until life forces your hand. Consult them now. Let them guide you. Because, like Anne said, you can still bloom, just not in the same garden. If you found Anne's story moving, consider sharing it. Somewhere out there, someone else is standing at the edge of change, afraid to take the first step. Your words could be the hand they need to hold. Thanks for watching. And remember, wisdom isn't just in the years, it's in how you choose to live them.